You ever have one of those moments where you realize someone truly believes the world is just a giant vending machine that exists to feed their entitlement? Yeah, that was my flight last month. And it all started with a tray of low-sodium roasted chicken at 36,000 feet. I'm not joking. A grown woman tried to hijack my dinner like it was a first-class diamond necklace. But I guess I should start from the beginning because this wasn't just about a meal. It turned into something much bigger. Something about boundaries and dignity and the strange things people do when they feel unseen by the universe. My name is Evan Calder, 42 years old, consultant, always on airplanes, always measuring life in jet bridges and hotel keycards. I've learned that you can't control much up there. Turbulence, delays, the baby who starts crying before takeoff and doesn't stop until you're back on the ground. But you can control the little things. Noise-canceling headphones. An aisle seat, and if the airline technology gods are smiling, the meal you pre-order 3 weeks in advance. And I did. I ordered that low-sodium chicken like it was a pact with destiny. My doctor has me watching my sodium, and honestly, I don't mind. Kind of gives my life structure. So I booked my ticket from Denver to Miami, clicked the meal request, and felt like a man who had taken charge of his fate. Boarding went smoothly. I had seat 4A, aisle, business cabin, enough legroom for my knees to feel respected. I tucked my bag overhead, sat down, slid on my headphones, and let myself relax. Then she arrived. Bright turquoise blazer, so loud it could disrupt radio signals, bracelets that clinked like wind chimes in a storm, perfume so strong it should have come with a seatbelt warning. She dropped into 4C, the aisle seat across from me. Phone on speaker, volume all the way up, declaring to whoever was on the other end. I don't wait for things. I get accommodated. That's why status exists. I glanced at the man in 4B. Big guy, beard like a lumberjack who found inner peace, sipping a juice pouch that looked hilarious in his giant hands. He raised an eyebrow and whispered, "Brother, I smell trouble and she hasn't even closed her bag yet." I chuckled. I should have known that was foreshadowing. The meal cart rolled out about 90 minutes into the flight. I felt like a soldier who had trained his whole life for this one moment. The flight attendant, a calm, competent woman named Marissa Hale, checked her tablet, looked at me, and said, "Mr. Calder? Low-sodium roasted chicken." I nodded with a joy I wish I could say was ironic. Marissa set the tray on my table. Steam curled up, soft and herbal like thyme and rosemary were whispering, "You made it, man. You made it." I peeled back the foil. A little overcooked, sure, but warm, fragrant, and mine. I barely had the fork in my hand when it started. A shadow slid into my space. Turquoise blazer leaning in. Red manicured nail, pointing like an accusation from a courtroom drama. "That's mine," she said. At first, I laughed because I thought she was joking. People joke on planes. You share a human moment. Haha, yes, we're all hungry. But she wasn't smiling. Her eyes were flat, hard, entitled. "Excuse me?" I asked. She didn't blink. "That special meal is mine. I requested it. Flight attendant made a mistake. You need to hand it over." Before I could respond, the lumberjack in 4B leaned over and murmured, "If it comes with rice and rules, it's his lady." She ignored him and held up a lanyard like it was some royal decree. "I am a Diamond Elite Premier member," she announced. Red nail back in my face. "So, give me my meal." I wasn't angry, not yet. Mostly stunned. I said, very calmly, "Ma'am, I ordered this 3 weeks ago." She scoffed. "And I am Diamond Elite Premier. People like me don't eat regular entrees. I need low sodium. Medical reasons." She said medical reasons like she was describing a national emergency. Our flight attendant, Marissa, returned. Her voice was patient in the way kindergarten teachers talk to kids holding scissors. "Ma'am, may I have her name and seat number, please?" "Charlotte Vance. Seat 4C. And I'm telling you, someone made an error. Fix it." Marissa checked the manifest, tapped her screen, then said the line that lit the fuse. "Special meals are assigned to seats and are not transferable. Mr. Calder is the correct recipient." Charlotte's mouth opened and closed like she was buffering in real time. "You are denying me my medical accommodation?" Marissa didn't blink. "No, ma'am. You are asking for another passenger's confirmed meal." That's when the temperature started to rise. In her voice, in the air, in the collective blood pressure of everyone within 4 rows. She jabbed her finger, so close it almost grazed my green beans. Give me the chicken. Now look, I'm not proud of what I did next, but I also have no regrets. I lifted my fork, locked eyes with her, and took the slowest, most disrespectfully peaceful bite of chicken any man has ever taken on an airplane. It tasted like victory and rosemary, but mostly victory. Her face flushed a shade of red that probably has its own Pantone number. She hissed, "Are you deaf?" I said, "It's mine." I swallowed and smiled. "It's actually delicious. You should try the pasta. I hear it's regular sodium." The man in 4B snorted so hard he nearly inhaled his juice pouch. Charlotte, however, was not amused. She shifted tactics. Those types always do. When force doesn't work, they go for sabotage. She reached into the overhead bin above her seat, pretending to grab a sweater. Her elbow swung wide, too wide, and knocked over the small cup of water on my tray. Cold water splashed across my pants. She gasped dramatically. "Oh no, I'm so clumsy. I'm so sorry, did I get you?" I knew what she was doing, and she knew I knew. It wasn't about ruining the meal anymore. It was about ruining my peace. But I remembered what my brother tells me whenever I let someone get under my skin. Don't wrestle a pig, Ev. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it. So I dabbed the water with a napkin and said, "It's fine. Gravity's undefeated." Then, without breaking eye contact, I dipped my napkin in my own water cup and placed it gently, accidentally on purpose, right on the shared armrest. Not enough to soak her sleeve, just enough to claim territory. The tiniest, damp declaration of war. She stared at it like I'd placed a live rattlesnake between us. Then she flicked it onto the floor with 2 fingers like she was removing a cursed object. Silence settled, thick and uneasy, and then the plane jolted. Turbulence, sharp, sudden, not the gentle kind. A few passengers gasped. I buckled my seatbelt quickly. But Charlotte? Of course. Of course she unbuckled hers. She stood up in the aisle, arms flailing for balance. Marissa called from the front. "Ma'am, please take your seat. Seatbelt sign is on." But Charlotte raised her voice, working the crowd. "I need to stand. My ankles swell. Medical necessity." The plane shook again. She stumbled, grabbing the headrest of seat 4B, bending it toward her so close the lumberjack's eyes widened in a silent prayer. He muttered, "Lady, sit down before we all become a headline." But she planted her feet and declared, "I'm not the hazard. This airline's negligence is the hazard." And I realized, in that moment, this was no longer a dispute about a meal. This woman needed control the way other people need air. She couldn't stand that she didn't get what she wanted. And if she had to shake the entire cabin's piece to get it, she would. That was the moment something in me shifted, something slow and steady, like a door inside me unlocking. I wasn't just defending a tray of chicken anymore. I was defending the idea that you don't get to trample other people to fill whatever emptiness you carry. And that's when she pushed it too far. She turned, wobbling as another burst of turbulence rattled through the cabin, and suddenly she was marching, well, swaying with purpose, straight toward the galley. I watched her turquoise blazer sweep down the aisle like a tropical storm that did not respect airspace regulations. Marissa, bless her patience and whatever ancient monk training she must have endured, stepped into the galley entrance with the kind of calm you only get after years of watching adults melt down over missing cookies. "Ma'am, you can't be in the galley during turbulence. Please return to your seat." Charlotte didn't even slow down. "I want to speak to your boss." Marissa blinked like she was processing a concept from another universe. "I'm the lead flight attendant for this cabin." "Not you," Charlotte said, pushing past her. "The person above you. The top person on this plane. The one who understands service. The one who understands service." I swear, if irony were a physical object, it would have fallen from the overhead bins and crushed her. She bumped into another attendant carrying a carafe of fresh coffee, scalding, steaming, ready to serve. The impact jolted the pot, and a splash of near-boiling coffee hit the counter and the attendant's hand. Not enough to cause a burn, thank God, but enough to make him flinch. Charlotte gasped like she was the one injured. I was burned. I was burned by your staff. This is assault. Assault. Over a few droplets of coffee, she caused herself by barging into a restricted workspace during turbulence. A woman behind me muttered, "Oh, she's not even fishing for compensation anymore. She's casting a net for an entire settlement." Then she turned, slowly, dramatically, and locked onto me like she had just discovered a new mission. "And him," she shouted, finger raised, shaking with outrage. "He's been filming me. He recorded everything. I want his phone confiscated." The cabin went still. People stared at me, unsure, curious, hesitant to choose a side. That kind of accusation lands hard in a confined space. I felt every set of eyes like a weight on my chest. The purser, Daniel Brooks, appeared like a quiet storm. Steady posture, voice even, eyes sharp. "Sir," he said to me, "have you recorded this passenger without her consent?" I pulled my phone from my lap. My hand was shaking, but my voice stayed steady. "I recorded 15 seconds of the wing. For my nephew. He loves airplanes." Daniel extended his hand. I let him take the phone. He played the clip. The camera pointed out the window the entire time. Wing, clouds, sunlit engine humming like a lullaby. No voices. No fusses. The man in 4B leaned into the aisle and boomed. Plot twist, he's a birdwatcher. A ripple of laughter broke the tension. Daniel handed my phone back. "The passenger did not film you, ma'am," he said. "Please stop making false accusations." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She looked stunned, then furious, then somehow both at once, like a storm trying to decide which direction to break. Turbulence hit again, a harsh drop that lifted some of us a half inch off our seats. A soda can slid down the aisle. People gasped, and in the chaos, Charlotte lost her footing and stumbled back toward us. She grabbed the nearest anchor. Unfortunately, there was a lumberjack juice pouch guy. She landed half on his lap, half on his armrest. He panicked, hands up like someone had handed him a live skunk. "Get off me," he barked, pure reflex. She spun off balance, falling toward me, and would have crushed my tray, my ribs, and my dignity if Marissa hadn't moved with reflexes that belonged in an action movie. She caught Charlotte by both arms and shoved her firmly back in her seat. "Seat. Down. Now," she commanded. No warmth, no apology, just authority. And you know what? Charlotte sat. Not because she agreed, not because she respected the rules, but because for the first time since we left Denver, Charlotte Vance realized she wasn't the most powerful person on this flight. The captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We're securing the cabin." The rest of the flight was quiet except for Charlotte's sniffles, these tiny broken whimpers that felt less like sadness and more like calculation, like she was rearranging the facts in her mind, rewriting the story she'd tell someone later so she could still be the injured party. At one point, she leaned toward a mother traveling with her son in the row ahead, eyes shimmering with perfectly timed tears. "You poor child," she whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You must be starving. That selfish man wouldn't give you his meal." The mom held up a bag of snacks and said, absolutely deadpan, "We brought our own food because my son has a nut allergy. Please stop using him as a coupon." I swear, even the plane paused to appreciate that line. Finally, after a long, heavy silence, we descended. Wheels kissed the runway. Reverse thrust roared. People exhaled. And when the doors opened, airport security was waiting. 2 officers, 1 operations manager, and Daniel with his tablet, documenting everything. Passengers filed out row by row, strangely polite, like we'd been through battle together. When I reached the front, Marissa gave me a small plate from the premium cabin. Chocolate mousse. Ice cold. Perfect. "Thank you for your patience, Mr. Calder," she said quietly. "Not everyone makes her job easier, but you did." I nodded, unable to find anything to say that didn't feel small. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done, like I had been holding a heavy box for hours and could finally set it down. As I stepped onto the jet bridge, I heard Daniel say, "Ms. Vance, you'll need to stay on board. We need to speak with you regarding multiple safety violations." I didn't turn around. I didn't look at her face. I didn't need to. Some endings don't require an audience. Walking into the terminal, I whispered to myself. It was just a chicken dinner, but it was mine. And maybe that's the point. Sometimes the small things are the last pieces of ground holding us together. You protect them because they're proof you exist, proof that you get to have a say in your own damn life. And now I want to ask you something. If you were in my seat, tray in front of you, meal you waited 3 weeks for, someone demanding you hand it over, what would you have done? Would you have given it up for the sake of peace? Or does there come a moment where giving in stops being kindness and starts being surrender? Tell me in the comments, because I still think about it. Not about the chicken, but about the line between compassion and letting people walk all over you. And if you've ever had a turbulence Karen in your life, I want to hear that story too. Thanks for listening. See you on the next flight.